Conventional wisdom says that motivation is the key to change, and if you really wanted it, you would actually go do it. The truth is that our real motivation is to do what is convenient. Let's get into it. Have you ever wondered why don't I actually do what I say I'm gonna do? Or, if I know this is good for me, why do I still not make time for it? To actually create behavioral change, you need, human nature to work with you and not against you. And this book has the 4 laws of behavioral change that can honestly help make any habit stick. First up, make it obvious. Instead of saying something vague like I want to work out more or I should eat healthier, create an implementation intention. This is nothing but a plan about when and where you want to act. So the simple base of an implementation intention is like this. When situation X arises, I will Y. And just fill in X and Y with whatever your actual thing is. People think in life that they lack motivation, but the only thing you lack is clarity. Should I work out today? Should I not work out today? Should I meditate today or not? But when your implementation intention is decided that when it's 8 a.m. I should work out, there is no question anymore. There's no decision. It's 8 a.m. Okay, go work out. I don't know where this hand is going, but you go work out. For example, for studying, I should study more. I will study Spanish at 6 p.m. in my kitchen. When it's 6 p.m., there's no question, should I study, should I not? It's 6 p.m., grab your book and go to the kitchen. Another thing we need to really realize is that our environment plays a huge, huge role in what we do. We like to think that we are in control and all that, but honestly, the actions that we take each day are not really shaped by a purposeful drive or something, but more often by the most obvious action that you can take at that point. So it's important to live in environments that make you feel productive and inspired. The good news is that you don't have to be the victim of your environment. You can be the architect of it. Create your environment in a way in which the right option is the most obvious choice to make. So if you want to drink more water, just fill up multiple bottles of water and place them all over your room. You'll realize that you automatically just start drinking more water because it's just there. And just like you should make the cues of your good habits visible and obvious, make the cues of your bad habits invisible. So this whole idea that a little bit of discipline would solve all our problems is just deeply, deeply embedded in our culture. But the truth is that instead of trying to be a disciplined person, you should focus on creating a disciplined environment. For example, if you can't seem to get any work done, just leave your phone in another room for a few hours. You'll realize you just use it much lesser because it's not there. Number 2, make it attractive. Fascinating news is that it's not the fulfillment of a reward that actually gives you this dopamine and this pleasure. It's the anticipation of the reward. So even if you think about how good something is going to feel, to your brain it's the same thing as if you're actually feeling it. Which is why having a certain level of anticipation and attraction to your habits is very important to, actually following through with them. So one way you can make your habits more attractive is through this technique called temptation bundling. The way you set this up is that doing the thing you need to absolutely do also comes with doing the thing you want to do, which makes it more attractive. Even if you don't really want to process those work emails, if along the way it means you get to do something that you want to do, there's a higher chance that you will go and process those emails. A very interesting thought at this point of the video is, where do our habits even come from? Like, are we born with them or what? The thing is that we don't choose our habits, we imitate them. From family, friends, society, we pick up our habits from our environment. The good news here is that peer pressure is only bad if you're surrounded by bad influences. One of the most effective things that you can probably do to build better habits is to surround yourself with people who already have those habits, because then you're likely to imitate them. If you're surrounded by people who wake up early all the time, you will feel so out of place if you get up late. If you're surrounded by people who are fit, who work out all the time, you will automatically be inclined to imitate the people you surround. Another thing you can do to make a habit stick is to associate it with a positive experience. So whenever a habit successfully addresses an underlying motive, like, love, attention, you feel a need to do it again. Therefore, if you reframe hard habits in a way that you highlight their benefits rather than, the not so attractive parts about them, they're much more likely to stick. So for example, when you think about your workout, program your mind to think, okay, I'm going to feel so good after my workout for the entire day. My confidence is going to go crazy instead of going on, oh my god, I can't work out, it's so hard. Third thing, make it easy. Conventional wisdom says that motivation is the key to change. And if you really wanted it, you would actually go do it. The truth is that our real motivation is to do what is convenient. And it's actually a smart thing, because energy is a precious thing, and whenever possible, our brain just wants to conserve it. So the less energy a habit requires, the more likely it's to occur. Things like scrolling on our phone, just binge watching Netflix, they're like so easy to do because you're not even doing anything. When you're watching Netflix, even the next episode just comes on its own. That's why it's attractive, because you're not doing anything. In a sense, every habit is just an obstacle to get what you want. Dieting and working out is an obstacle to getting fit. Meditation is an obstacle to feeling calm. So you don't actually want the habit. You don't want to diet. You don't want to meditate. What you want is the outcome of the diet. You want to feel calm. You want to feel fit. That is why it's crucial to make your habits easy so that you do them even when you don't feel like doing them. Also, hold up. The idea behind this is not to only do easy things. The idea is to make hard things that will actually have a payoff in the long run as easy as possible. One of the most effective ways that you can do this is something called environment design. We often try to start creating new habits in the most high friction environments possible. For example, we decide to go on a diet when we are out for dinner with friends. The central idea is just create an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible. So if you want to work out, you already keep your workout clothes, gym bag ready for you to go. If you want to eat healthy, you already keep containers of fruit all over your house. Like, make it as easy as possible. Similarly, you can just invert this principle to avoid bad behaviors. Make bad behaviors difficult. Another really interesting concept from the book is this thing called the 2-minute rule. Okay, so it's the idea that any habit in the world can be condensed into a 2-minute version. So doing 30 minutes of yoga can become take out my yoga mat. Read for 30 minutes a day can become read one page. Study for class becomes open my notes. Anyone can meditate for 1 minute, just open their notes and lay out a mat to do yoga. The logic here is that once you've started doing something, it's much easier to continue doing it. So make the first 2 minutes of your habit easy to do. For example, when I wanted to start working out, I used to take my mat and go to the terrace, regardless. Even if I felt like just not even moving, I would pick up my mat and go to the terrace. Now I'm like, okay, I'm here. I guess I'll start. Just like maybe I'll do 100 skips. Okay, I start 100. And I'm like, you know what? We started. Why not just finish it? And basically the human mind is a very complicated thing, and we need to just take advantage of this knowledge that we have thanks to such books and really just make human nature work in our favor. Obviously, there's also an inversion of this law, which is make it difficult. If there's something which you don't want to do, make it difficult. The author talks about something called a commitment device in the book, which is nothing but a choice that you make right now, which will determine your actions in the future. You can reduce overeating by buying individual packets of food rather than, bulk buying or whatever. The logic is that commitment devices enable you to take advantage of your good intentions, your noble intentions as a soul, to actually want to be a good person before human temptation comes in the way. Lastly, make it satisfying. Okay, you tell me this now. Why would anyone smoke if they know it gives you lung cancer? Thing is that the consequences of bad habits are delayed, whereas the reward is immediate. The human brain has been prioritized to give emphasis to immediate rewards over anything else. We're always looking for immediate satisfaction. And with good habits, it's the opposite. The immediate outcome is unenjoyable, and the reward actually comes much later. When you make plans to lose weight, write a book, etc., you're making plans for your future self. But in the moment, your current self will always choose for the present, and therefore temptation kicks in and you make the wrong choice. Here's the problem. Most people know this. People know that delayed gratification is the right approach. However, when you're in the moment, you just usually often make the choice of instant gratification. Because that's how humans work. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. So instead of trying to work against human nature and forcing yourself to say, I'm just so good a human, I'm going to practice delayed gratification, why not use human nature in our favor? Why not add a little bit of immediate satisfaction to good habits? You can use the approach of reinforcement in the book, which is immediately rewarding yourself to increase the rate of a behavior. So for example, every time you finish working out, you reward yourself with a massage, and just make that a thing. So then working out itself will give you an immediate reward. Just make sure that your immediate reward isn't directly clashing against the very habit that you're trying to form. The reward can't be to eat a full bowl of ice cream every time you work out, because then you're just nullifying everything and getting nowhere. The right way of saying this, as I have just seen my script, is that the short-term reward is aligned with your long-term vision of being a healthy person. Obviously, like all the other laws, this law too can be inverted. Make your bad habits unsatisfying, so then you won't feel the need to repeat them. And yeah. So in conclusion, the first three laws that we spoke about, make it obvious, make it easy, and make it attractive, increase the odds that the behavior will actually be performed. But the fourth law, which is make it satisfying, will ensure that the behavior will be repeated and you'll keep coming back to it. Also, one very, very important thing I must say at the end of this video is that, however hard you try, no matter how consistent you are with your habits, sometimes life will interrupt you. Sometimes life will just get in the way. Whenever this happens to you, just remind yourself of this rule of the book is to never miss twice. Like, if you miss once, life got in the way, okay, don't be like crazy hard on yourself. Just make sure to show up again the next day and never miss twice. You literally don't realize just how valuable it is to just show up on your bad days. Just show up for yourself and never miss twice. Right guys, that was it for this video. I hope you all liked it, and please like, comment, share, subscribe, and yeah, see you guys in the next video.